Well, hello, friends.
Hello.
Welcome back. It's Monday. How is everybody doing today? Hope you all had a great weekend. My weekend was stupendous. I used a fancy word-ish. Stupendous.
Stupendous is a good one.
Huh?
Stupendous is a good one.
Stupendous is a good one. It sounds a little close to stupid for me, though. And I did not have a stupid weekend.
Ghost Hunter, you got a problem with me being here?
Yeah, what the heck, Ghost Hunter? Is that a slight I'm hearing?
I mean, I haven't been on a stream in a bit, I don't think.
Remember, we don't piss off Lord Commander.
I mean, you could if you want.
I ain't doing that. You will not ever see me pissing off the Lord Commander unless it's a very, very, very large accident. So.
Well, sometimes, you know what? You gotta be a little more flexible around here, Ghost Hunter, because we change things up frequently.
We do indeed.
But rest assured,
you'll
have your Schlebby tomorrow.
You will have Schlebby tomorrow. Tomorrow it'll be just
Jordan
me and Schlebby.
Exactly what you want, Ghost Hunter.
Yep. And then on Wednesday, I think it's just you and me again. Yep. Although Jason should be here today.
He should be here today. I don't know, he's super busy, so maybe he isn't.
Maybe he's not.
We'll go ahead and put...
But we're going to hang out. Until then...
Why does it always...
I don't know.
Weird stuff up there. There we go. Right here.
Well, I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I said that before, but I'm going to say it again. I hope it. We're going to go back to painting robots.
Spend hours looking through comics?
Huh?
Did anyone else in chat spend Saturday looking through comics?
Yes.
For those of you who were not here with us looking through the comics?
Oh my gosh, we went through... I think we ended at... What was it? 1,500, 1,200, 1,700 comics? We went through a lot of comics. Yeah, we were here for 8 hours streaming.
I was here the whole time. I'm not in the building, but I was watching it at home.
Did Jason go from Porsche to Lambo?
We didn't get enough for a Porsche yet.
No,
but
I mean we're well on our way.
Lots to go.
We are well on our way.
Recovering from the superb owl. I actually watched. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was on.
What was on?
The Super Bowl. We had it on the TV.
Oh yeah.
And I did the opposite of what I normally do when I watch television. So normally when I watch television, I'm watching. And then as soon as the commercial comes on, I pick up my phone and I look at my phone while the commercials are on.
Oh.
Yesterday, I did the opposite. I was looking at my phone while the football playing was happening, and I put my phone down and watched the commercials.
That's
what you do.
Very funny.
On the Super Bowl. The final tally was like 65? About?
62, 65, somewhere in there.
Thank you.
So what I'm doing right now. Hi. I know, because you haven't moved into your new office yet. We're going to be roomies. Hi.
When I can get to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Soon enough.
Yeah.
Next month.
Let me know if you need help. Bye. That was Carter.
The comics, Ghost Hunter. I don't know if you were on the Saturday stream, but Saturday, Jason and Jordan and Gabe and Philip and Shelby were all here, and they were going through Jason's comic collection, trying to see,
we had
take an inventory, getting some estimates on prices. What kind of a price they might fetch if we were to sell them. Good times. They spent 8 hours, got through like not even half of the books.
I think we got through the bulk of the ones that we really needed to have gone through.
All the big ones.
Hi.
Well, the VOD is there, Ghost Hunter. If you got 8 hours to spare,
it is an 8-hour VOD. So beware.
You could also probably do a lot of fast forwarding because they held up. If you had any that you specifically wanted to see, they held them all up. So, what happened?
There's very cool things on Not his desk yet, but there are very cool things.
Are you ready for me to put the camera on yet or no?
No, let me.
Okay.
It's okay. I can continue over here.
Avian, hello. He did not get the Porsche yet.
I was told I can't have one.
Oh, by whom?
Well,
The same woman that said I could have one.
I gave him a different idea.
Then she took it back.
Oh,
I didn't. You can still get it if you want.
What was the
No,
alternative
but I
idea?
gave you
Oh, did you hear that, chat?
Another idea.
I mean, if that's really what you think is best,
No, I didn't say
that's
that.
what you can do.
I said, so someone in chat that day was talking about how the money is really mine. And I'm like, I have nothing to do with this. This is Jason's collection. He is the one who has held on to them and moved them and done all the things and been responsible.
Yeah,
and he's the one going through all of them. So any
Yep.
money that comes out of this is his and his alone. He can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
I have
Buy a Porsche.
absolutely
Let's
no
go.
say, no input.
I definitely want to go to the dealership when you do it, though.
Oh, wait. I mean, we can't.
I
It had to
did
pay
go
for it. It doesn't pay for it.
Give
There
him,
weren't enough. There weren't enough Hulk 181s.
I did give him a second, just an idea to consider of how to spend the money.
I did
Just
maybe
a
recommend
suggestion.
something other than
Just
a
a
Porsche.
suggestion, something to think about.
And
And that is to put the money toward buying us an RV so that we can be the Monument Road team. And like we can just go out and spread Monument goodwill across the country with our dog Cora. I think it's a great
Jason, how
idea.
did you respond?
He thought it was a
I don't
good
like that
too.
idea.
I don't like that idea.
He likes that.
Not for me. Not for me.
Hoosiers, I was pleasantly surprised with halftime. I thought I wasn't going to care too much, but it was actually pretty good. And yes, Lil Jon and Ludacris were, and Alicia Keys, that was nice.
Hey, look, it's the USS New Guy Phil.
It's the USS New Guy Phil
Oh, fun.
and the USS Jabe,
Jabe.
which you can't hardly read because it's so tiny. That's the USS Jabe. Jabe is a frigate. Phil is a destroyer.
Sounds right.
There's the USS Slow Fuse.
Nice.
And what is that?
That's a dreadnought.
Oh.
That's the big one. That's this one.
I'm very excited for those decals to go on.
There's the USS Hobby Nerd. Goes
Nice.
on a heavy cruiser. There's the Baby J.
Baby J.
There's the USS Monument. Goes on a battle cruiser. The USS Gentastic. Goes on a new heavy cruiser.
What does that look like?
Like all the rest of them.
You probably won't.
You're
be
the one
able
that
to
said
tell
that.
anyways.
You said they can't tell the
I
difference.
know, but that now that they'll have labels on them, they could be different.
It's it's a big one, but it looks like all the other big ones. Then there's the USS Paint Beast. That's for Ruben. That's on a war destroyer. As was the New Guy Phil. The New Guy Phil is on a destroyer. There's the USS Schlebby.
Schlebby.
Schlebby is on a light cruiser. And then the USS Chair Guy,
Oh.
right, which is on a strike cruiser.
What's the Baby J on again?
A frigate,
So good.
a war frigate. The Jabe and the Baby J are on war frigates. The New Guy Phil and
Paint Beast.
I think the Paint Beast Ruben. Phil and Ruben are on war destroyers. Schlebby is on the light cruiser. Yeah. There you go.
You should look at chat right now.
One tomato. Said,
I have a
so
ship!
I'm so honored.
USS Schlebby.
One tomato said, so I just realized when I was at physical therapy and they asked what I did this weekend, I couldn't answer. And it was because in my brain, I couldn't figure out how to explain to a normie. I watched a man on the internet sort his comics for 8 hours.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that happened. Chad, if you weren't here on Saturday, you missed it. Tons of fun. We had a good time.
We had a blast. It was awesome.
What happened to I hate decals? I just paint everything on.
I do hate decals, but I am not painting
They're
anything other than what I've already painted on these guys, and there's a lot of lettering. Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
I'm probably gonna mess the decals up too, so don't get your hopes up. That's probably going to go severely south by the time all that is said and done.
Just start with the crappy decals first, and then we'll eventually make our way into spicy, exciting decals. Whatever
So they
that means.
didn't finish the inventory on Saturday.
No.
They didn't even get halfway, almost halfway through.
Not even.
Not even
A
half-
third.
a third of the way through. While they potentially got through the most important boxes.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yes.
newer Marvel stuff?
So
Yeah.
Okay. So you have any like newer Spider-Man stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. There are a decent amount of issues in the more modern Spider-Mans that are or have value. So there are definitely some modern issues that are solid, for sure. I went through and like looked at the top 100 modern issues. Walking Dead was up there.
I have that Walking Dead number 2 you said
Yeah.
or something.
Which is good because that one apparently was short printed compared to the first one.
Yeah, that's what I remember from the time. As soon as you said that, I was like, I remember this.
Yeah. Apparently there was some printing issue or error or something like that that caused the lack of them to be printed.
Ghost Hunter, that is true. We could definitely buy a lot of Hot Wheels Porsches. One real Porsche, like normal size, not quite yet, but lots of Hot Wheels. Could a Porsche Lego set? Yes, definitely do that.
First Lego set sounds like a blast.
I got a couple questions here. If I
Mhm.
can dark so name Grizzly, I think. What would you recommend to use for dust weathering effects on my tank model that has your red earth texture paint?
Has red earth texture paint. Do you want the dust to be of that same kind of reddish earth?
I would think it would be, right? If you're
I
trying
would
to bring your
imagine
environment,
so.
You use the same color. The red earth is based off of burnt sienna. So if you take burnt sienna, burnt orange, probably burnt sienna, and lightly dry brush it, you could bring the earth tone up onto the model. The tank, gears, running gears, tracks, things like that would be your best bet.
Porsche, 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 Porsche.
Why do they want us to say Porsche?
Well, I'm gonna say Porsche because that's how I say it.
It's Porsche.
SM Kin 350 just got some noosh. Anyone have any recommendations for which red or brown color to use as a recess color?
Yeah. I mean, transparent brown is great. You can use warm brown. Any of the umbers are great for that as well. I mean, pretty much just depends on what hue of brown you want on your model.
I used for the dreadnought we used in the video on YouTube. I used black brown for the overall filter, and then more of the sepia-ish of the burnt oranges and stuff for the rust feeling for after, right? So that you get the deep shade and filter with the black brown, right? Gives it that nasty all over, and then you go back in with burnt orange, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre to give the rust. And if you watch the video, I did the black brown all over, just really super sloppy, and then the rust colors very pinpointed in where I wanted them around the rivets and such.
Anthony Guido Dijon watching and cooking dinner. How do you say Porsche, Anthony? Porsche.
Porsche?
Porsche.
It's Porsche. For those sophisticated ones of us.
It's so fancy. Porsche.
Porsche.
Stonewall said it's only Porsche if you own one. And it seems like Hoosier's dad has one, so that's probably why Hoosiers thinks that we're saying it wrong.
Well,
That's how I say it too.
I'm starting on building up some more areas of gold here. We got the outer part of the legs nice and blocked in.
Oh, gee.
Just taking a mix of
Oh, you say
burnt
Portia.
orange
All right.
and dark yellow green for the base coat.
Spitfire Miniatures said, did everyone know that Saxon, the band, put out an album called Forever Free in 1992? And the album cover is two dark angels on motorcycles.
Nope. Did not know that.
Fun fact. Ghost Hunter said Heine looks like the Charmin bear after you tell him that you use another brand of TP.
Oh.
Oh, good point, right?
Well, I use Charmin, so the Charmin bear can be happy.
We use Kirkland.
I splurge for the nice stuff.
Kirkland's better than Charmin any day of the week.
It really is. Very dusty.
I've not had that experience, actually.
Game Delay said, oh, no Jordan. Not realizing that Jordan, looking down, is just camouflaged.
Hi.
Like when you look down, you just blend in.
That's just me. I promise.
It's only Porsche if it's from the Porsche region of Germany. Otherwise, it's just sparkling Volkswagen.
Sparkling Volkswagen.
Sparkling Volkswagen. Oh my gosh.
PM Dower. I raise my glass to you, sir.
That is amazing.
It's not even glass. I raise my plastic bottle to you, sir.
Oh, that's
Wow.
It's just
fantastic.
sparkling
It's
Volkswagen,
just sparkling Volkswagen.
Sparkling Volkswagen.
which is also pronounced wrong, just to show you how class A we
Volkswagen.
are.
Volkswagen.
It's Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen. Porsche and Volkswagen.
Hans and Franz.
Hans and Franz and their Volkswagen.
Amazing. Never change.
Here to pump you up.
Here to pump you up.
Charmin in my bathroom, 100% recycled one ply in the guest bathroom. Guards Tony's like, I don't want people sticking around.
Recycled one ply in the guest bathroom.
He doesn't
I don't want to do
guest.
that. I give the guests very, very good toilet paper because I can never assume that people wash their hands, and I'd like to help them
Oh.
not have poo fingers as best as possible
That's actually
when
really
in my
smart.
house.
Very
So
smart.
we are here to pawn you up. John's like, no, not toilet paper again.
We just started right in with the poop stuff today. We didn't even mess around.
Man, yesterday, and I left it at home, like on the counter, my box of comic books. that I
Oh,
pulled
yeah.
out. I left it on the
So you
countertop.
did look in.
I found some.
Okay.
I found some. They're more moderns, and
Okay.
there's not a whole lot of stuff in there. But I was looking through it, and there were some Miss Marvels, and there's like the first ever Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel meetup in the comics. And so I
cool.
kept flipping through them, and there was a couple of X-Men runs that were around that 101, 103 run right after they turned into the new X-Men
Oh, cool.
and the new astonishing team. And I was flipping through those, just praying. I was like, "Oh my God, there might be another giant-size X-Men here." Nope, no luck. No luck. No luck.
Hans and Franz, that is a timely and topical reference. Hey, it's always timely and topical to bring out an old SNL reference
An old SNL
from when
reference.
SNL was really
Land Shark. Candygram.
Candygram.
John Belushi is the samurai in the dry cleaners.
Yeah.
That was the only time Saturday Night Live was any good. Yep.
No.
Yep.
Alright. I think our goal is to do this back section here today. Might do the top of the head and the neck and shoulder tomorrow. I also might do this kind of ankle joint there as well.
Cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. No Coke, just Pepsi. Cheeps.
What is happening over here? I
Way
don't
you know,
before-
people that
way
have
before
actually paid
Jordan.
attention to pop culture in their lives, Baby J.
That hurts my soul a little bit. It hurts my soul just a little bit.
This is something from when I was a young child,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's long before you.
Oh, long before I existed.
Long before you existed.
Long before you exist.
Probably 20 years
That's nearly
before
double.
you.
I'm trying over here, Jen.
Huh?
I'm trying over here, Jen.
Trying to what?
I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
We don't need your benefit. We're old and we love it.
It's like 1975's Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
Definitely way before you were born.
That's probably true.
It is 100%
Not probably true.
That's not probably
That's
true.
definitely true.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, Church Lady was a good era of SNL too.
Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Or Reba McEntire. Take your pick.
Same person. Same damn person.
Oh, I don't know which one that is. I mean, I'm sure I would know it, but like off just reading New Shimmer doesn't ring any bells. But I grew up watching SNL every single week. Still like the reruns of it.
Adding a little bit of warm yellow to that mix to start building up areas of highlight here.
It's one of my favorites, Ghost Hunter. I even have a t-shirt that I got at the SNL store in New York. It says no one can resist. It says sweaty balls, and it says
Sweaty balls.
no one can resist them.
Oh, that's funny. Did you play
What was
any
his
games
name?
yesterday?
Pete Sweaty.
Pete Sweaty.
I just love how both the girls were talking in their microphones like, oh, and I really have been excited about
It was supposed
having
to
your
be
balls.
like NPR
Yeah, I was really excited
yeah,
about
they were
having your
super
balls on our
mellow.
channel.
in their radio voices. I think so. I have a good radio voice. You know what? I was actually on NPR once.
Whoa.
I was interviewed on NPR about the school where I taught. It was a school for homeless kids. And the reporter came and interviewed me for, I don't know, we talked for probably close to an hour.
Wow.
And then it was part of an episode of her show. I can't remember what it was called. And Morning Edition. And then, yeah, I was on NPR. I think you can still find it on the internet. Spitfire Miniature said, is it possible to assemble a dreadnought and leave the armor off so I can airbrush it separately?
Which dreadnought are we talking?
Yeah. Which one? The old box dreads you cannot.
The newer Redemptor Dread, you can keep the shoulder plates off, but the rest of it, no. Maybe the central chest piece, but most of it is integral to the parts. Now they make one that is more complex and one that comes where it is integrated. So there may be two different Redemptor models and they act differently.
There's also the new Ballistus that is.
That's
going
a
on
Redemptor.
pre-order. Yeah, it's a
Same
new
thing.
kit though, so it might be a little different.
Nah, same thing. Same frame,
Don't let
different
them
weapons.
discourage you. With sharp enough clippers and a dream, you can do anything. Hey, Panic Bomb.
What's up, Panic Bomb? How do you do today? Adding a little bit more of that warm yellow plus a little bit of burnt orange. Give us a little bit more warmth for these highlights. Feeling a little bit cold earlier. Now it's starting to feel a little bit more yellow.
Gabe said that hug bear is looking awesome.
The hug bear is hugging.
Ghost Hunter said that hug bear has a name.
That hug
Heine.
bear does have a name. And it is Heine.
Heine the Hug Bear.
Jay better respect the name. And we still have toilet paper over here for Heine. Just in case it is needed. Don't forget, Jason. I know you slid it back over to my side of the table, but it's still here in case of an emergency.
I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you.
It's just another day at Monument Hobbies, everybody.
I'm not listening to you and your
Spitfire,
toilet paper
what are you
nonsense.
talking about?
Huh?
Spitfire Miniatures. The streaker yesterday made a $20,000 bet there would be a streaker, bought a ticket, then streaked. Is this the Super Bowl thing?
Is there a streaker at the Super Bowl?
Oh, he made a bet that there would be a streaker and then went and made the bet win. That's perfect. Hopefully it was more than bail.
I didn't see a streaker. But that probably, if it was during the game, I was looking at my phone.
She really was. She normally looks...
Until the end.
She normally is off her phone during the
Yep.
show and on her phone during the commercials, but not the way it worked yesterday.
During the Super Bowl, you got to watch the commercials. It's very important. My favorite one, Dunkin' Donuts.
I think that was everybody's. It got voted the best.
It was so good.
That
What
was
was
a
the Dunkin'
J-Lo
Donuts?
and
Yeah, it was Ben Affleck,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, Tom Brady, Jennifer Lopez.
That's big money.
Yeah, I was about to say they dumped a lot into
The
that.
CeraVe one was good too with Michael Cera. But the Dunkin' Donuts one, it was Ben Affleck. Who was the third guy that was in the he was like, he made like a little rap group. Ben Affleck did. Well, no, Tom Brady was there already. And he was like the DJ, right? And then Matt Damon was like embarrassed because he's like, I don't know. And then there was another one. I can't remember who it was. No Porsche yet. They only got about halfway through the boxes.
I think my dream of a Porsche funded by comic book collection is not going to happen.
Why?
Not enough money there.
Not yet.
Don't worry, I'll see what we can squeak out of there, Jason.
I mean, you're not a miracle worker. You can't make books worth more money. But it was just a joke anyway. It's not like I'm going to be sad that we only pulled $65,000 worth of books out of the damn
The
boxes.
down payment?
I mean, that would be more than a down payment on a Porsche, to be honest.
I don't know who you think I am that can afford the rest of the payment on the Porsche.
Tim, Jason was playing video games. Does that count?
Were you playing video games during the Super Bowl?
I was getting noited.
Yep, I kind of assumed that if you weren't doing Super Bowl things, that's probably what you were doing.
I was getting noited.
Did you know it back?
No.
Yeah.
There was a game?
I have been far removed from football for more decades than I can count.
I like to watch the big events, the big sporting events. I will always watch the Super Bowl. I will often watch NBA Finals and the World Series. Philip wants to know if you're going to give the bear a gold tooth.
Yes. Got to pick which one.
Are there teeth for the bear to have? Gold teeth?
Are you? I mean,
Oh yeah, you're painting them right now.
I mean,
I guess that makes that whole question sort of relevant, huh?
I'm painting teeth.
It was also a Taylor Swift
Well-
special, Mo. You're correct.
Did Taylor Swift perform?
No,
Oh, okay. I know that she was there.
she was there,
I saw a clip of her in the stands
cheering for her boyfriend.
being very girly.
Yeah, she's been at like the last several
Games.
Chiefs games. Yeah.
I mean, if you're dating one of the players, then
An
that makes
important
sense.
One.
Huh?
An important one.
Oh yeah.
He's a tight end, but he's
Oh.
well known. He's
Yeah.
one of the. I mean, he was one of the 3 players that was on the podium accepting the trophy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
Well, that's true. The chugging the beer was pretty good. Taylor Swift's boyfriend got a trophy at the Usher concert last night. That's exactly right.
Oh.
Taylor Swift's boyfriend got a trophy at the Usher concert. Did Usher do the
He was halftime.
halftime
Yeah.
show? Is he even still relevant?
It was actually really good. I was surprised. I didn't think I would care too much about it. So I was like, I'll just make dinner during halftime. But our stove faces the TV, and it was actually really good.
Did you end up making dinner after the halftime?
No, I still did during. I made it. I just made spaghetti. So it was,
Oh yeah.
his brother was in the suite with Taylor Swift. Will Wheaton made a funny reel about being excited for the Taylor Swift concert and tuning in to just being a stupid football game. Well, and it wasn't even a Taylor Swift concert. It was very disappointing.
That would have been really funny if she had done the halftime show
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl that her boyfriend was in.
The NFL can't afford her.
That's also probably true.
His brother's awesome. We were talking about that yesterday. Were we talking about his brother and how great his brother is?
His brother and his wife.
Yeah, his brother. So Jason and Kylie Kelsey. And Jason Kelsey played for the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, he's awesome. At the last game, the game that they won that put them to the Super Bowl, he like took his shirt off and was like yelling, and there's a picture of him when he got to Vegas, and he's wearing the same outfit that Alan wore in The Hangover when they go out
Oh, amazing.
that night with the
Yeah.
satchel and the t-shirt and the pants all up.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
good because he's got the same big beard, you know. Walking Harder, Jordan wants to know what colors you're using for the gold. Looks awesome.
I am using 4 colors. I am using to start kind of the base coats. I'm doing dark yellow green and burnt orange. And then I add some warm yellow to it. And then I finish it all off with pale yellow. Now, this will probably get pushed a little bit more. We'll bring it up a little bit higher, potentially, depending on how much added brightness we want. But, yeah, we're kind of in that stage of adding more and more of that yellow, warm yellow, into the mixtures of dark yellow green and burnt orange. Once you start getting up to kind of this value, you want to start adding a little bit of the pale yellow in to give it a little bit more opacity and a little bit more brightness. That's kind of where we're getting to that bright sort of level. And then we go back over a little bit of it and start introducing a little bit more warm yellow with some glazes of the like warm yellow plus burnt orange to bring some of that warmth back that you see in here. You'll see it as I progress throughout the day doing this. and I'll talk a little bit about it as I kind of get to the next stages. But right now we're working with basically a little bit of burnt orange. It's like 2-to-1 burnt orange, dark green, and then warm yellow to get it to be more of like a yellowy color, and then just a touch. I mean, just like a brush full of pale yellow, just to give it that brightness. And the whole reason for using the dark yellow green and the burnt orange is to give us a nice little bit of warm and cool contrast for the shadowed areas and the highlight areas. You can see kind of in the as this reflection sort of starts to come down here, you have a little bit of that warmth and then that cool stripe on the bottom, which is reflecting more of this kind of area down here. We got that nice little band of warmth right there. You can see kind of some of that on the shin. And then it gets much brighter as we get to the top.
Panic Bomb said the Hug Bear needs some brass knuckles.
Yeah, that sounds dope. Heine's got some brass knuckles.
Fucking Harder said it looks really nice. I'm totally stealing that. He
You
gave
can-
it to you. You don't have to steal it.
You don't have to steal it.
RFND paint palette said I've been working on the same non-metallic gold for 3 weeks already. Granted, it's on about 54 millimeters, but how do you move so quickly?
A lot of it is
Sold his soul to the devil.
I did sell my soul to the devil. I mean, it's one of those things that the more repetition and the more experience that you have working, working non-metallic metal into your projects, the more that you are able to bypass quickly a lot of the, what's the correct term for this? When you run into kind of a wall where you're like, ooh,
Cut corners.
yeah, well, you can cut corners, but you also have quicker routes for fixing problems, and you know where to avoid problems that will normally occur. So as you're learning, right, you're learning, you're absorbing all this information, you're trying things out, and you hit a wall, you're like, ooh, I don't know how to fix this, and then you have to kind of back up a little bit, find a good way around that problem, and then start to progress further. Having more experience in painting stuff just means that when you hit that wall, you're like, ooh, how do I do this? You're just like, oh, I already know how to do this. And you just go through it, right? So it's the getting shorter and shorter on time spent is eliminating all of those questions, and they just become part of your process where you don't even think about it a lot of the time. You're just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to adjust this color here, add a little bit more brightness here. This needs a little bit more texture here. Like, those things are all questions that you learn along the way. And then as you progress and you get better and better and better, those questions become less questions, and they just become more things that you do.
Scientologist, thank you for the sub. And Scientologist said, how much did someone have to pay to get Jason to paint that much pink?
Scientologist.
Not a lot.
Scientologist's been here forever. He knows me all too well. He's like, this did not come cheaply.
Here's the thing. We actually pay her.
That is accurate. Although she is supposed to make some sales for us.
Our monthly, what month is this?
February.
February Discord challenge is to paint something pink.
Mm-hmm. Jason is participating.
And Jason is participating.
Exciting.
It is our very own Monument Shalebi's birthday this month, and she got to choose the theme. And the theme is paint something pink.
Not letting her have any more birthdays.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to give you an idea, Jason just kind of likes her, so.
To be fair, he did put specifications that she had to find a model
Yep.
that he
that's
would be
true.
willing to paint
Yes. Yep.
in the office.
And it had to be in this building.
Yep. Didn't have to purchase it. It was already
If
here.
you can find a model that Jason likes, then he will paint it pink. And this is what she came up with. And he immediately was impressed by the choice. Said, yes, I will do that.
Yeah, you didn't even like bat too many eyes about it. You might have bent an eyelash or two. But it was, you're kind of just like,
She was smart.
Yup.
She tore the page out of the book that had him on it, right, with the color scheme. Otherwise, I would have been like, nah.
Oh, so that you couldn't see what it looked like or what it was supposed to look like?
So that I could.
Oh, is
Because
it
if you'd have just handed
Is it
me this
supposed to be
piece of
pink?
gray, I wasn't really intrigued so much by the bear. But when she gave me the picture, I was like, dope, I'm down.
Is
Yeah.
it pink on the box art?
Yeah, the box art is.
he's basically painting the box art.
Oh, I feel like I did see this. Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect.
You brought it. You can get the character when you're looking at the box art. And I was like, okay, that's a cool model.
Yeah. He was pretty into it right away, yeah. Hey Schmid, hoping to start on my challenge model today. Awesome. Finished a book dragon model this morning for my wife, so I'm free to do my own stuff again.
Very cool.
Jordan, are you gonna paint something pink?
Jury's out. Jury's out. I'm having a lot of fun with this right now.
Yep.
So we'll see how things progress.
Shelby said you better.
A whale.
You know he's not. He's afraid.
Why am I afraid?
Punisher said I just finished my December challenge, so I guess I'm free to start something new too.
You did. Kudos to you going back in on it and getting it done. Turned out great.
Oh, it's already, yeah, he already had planned the gold tooth.
So you can see I'm doing these little edge highlights along the edges of these panels. They're basically little reflections from the panels next to it, reflecting off. I think I want to push this highlight a little bit further up here.
Just kidding. Cliff Jumper, thank you for the sub.
Thank you for the sub. Welcome or welcome back. There we go. That's feeling a little bit better. We're going to start defining some of this kind of weird shape on the back. There's like this little curve. I'll kind of do a little bit of edge highlight here so you guys can see how this curves. We have like a raised center edge here that kind of goes down. And there's some smooth area over here. And then we have this kind of rounded off area down in here. Ryan.
Just barely out of
Oh,
there.
sorry.
Awkwardish Panda finished January challenge a few days late. I still need to post photos. Ironically enough, she's mostly pink. Well, we're a little early.
The nice thing is if you painted it pink, then you've got pink paints ready to go.
No spoilers for the folks who have not read it, but did Jason finish the end and the death 3? And if so, was his reaction more than meh?
I have not finished it. I'm still only about 3/4 of the way through. It is better than the other ending of the death books.
Oh, okay.
But it is it still feels like Abnett has decided to just cash in the checks.
Ugh, that's not a good sound.
Oh, I know the answer. Is the box still up there?
Which box?
The Scott Radham is asking where the pink bear is from.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. I can go grab it.
Called.
It's just right on here.
I just couldn't remember the name.
It's called Rainbow Crossing.
Rainbow Crossing. Oh, Shelby just knew it.
Of course, Slubby would know it. Starting to push in a little bit more of that warmth into these highlights here to kind of smooth them all out. Mixed basically pale yellow, warm yellow, and then a touch of the burnt orange. You guys can see kind of the difference between this and how warm this is versus how cold this is down here. Just lacks a little bit of that warmth.
A buttload of expansions. Yeah, it seems like Massive Darkness has a ton of different stuff.
It really does. There's a whole lot going on there. Mixing some more of that burnt orange in. We start going a little bit thinner. Working more in that kind of like glazed territory.
I don't even know what Massive Darkness is about.
It's
Dungeon
just,
crawler?
it's like an RPG dungeon crawler type game. You play as a hero. You have special abilities and stuff, and as you defeat monsters, you gain experience points and items and things. But each session is basically like one scenario. So you're going through a particular dungeon to defeat the wizard at the end or something like that, right?
Kimberly said Massive Darkness is designed so it's easy to swap in different monsters for each scenario, adding variety to how you play, making it easier to make new expansions.
Yep.
Shelby said the Rainbow Crossing expansion single-handedly made me want to play it.
It's fun. The game is neat. Shelby definitely wants to play the Rainbow expansion though.
When are you guys going to do that?
That is a Gabe question.
Oh.
Gabe's sort of the.
You're not going to play?
Well, I mean, I'll play.
Oh.
But Gabe is sort of
Gabe
the one
is the
who
coordinator.
like runs all of those. Just because he knows more about the game than the rest of us, because he sort of fell in love with it.
Oh.
It had a lot of pieces, so it excited Gabe.
Yes.
Each hero also almost plays like a different game, which is
You wish you had Marvel Zombies money. That game is a blast. Is it fun? Again, I don't know anything about it. I just have enjoyed some of the models. Seen and gotten.
Yep. I do want to play the game. We have a copy of it here.
And this is all from Cool Mini or Not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, this is kind of the jump that we expect, where we get that nice brightness adjustment. That really starts making things look metallic.
Oh my gosh, that's like a hard question. E. Carlson said, a question for you. What is the most random fact you know?
I'm assuming this is for all of us?
Guys,
Or is this...
most random fact.
Oh,
I
gosh.
know a lot of random facts.
Boy,
Oh.
I can't pull them out on call. Like
I have one.
I know, right?
Not how that works.
I have one. In the Two Towers, the Lord of the Rings movie, the Two Towers, there's a scene where Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are running after the hobbits, right? And there's a part where they come upon like a big like torched area of like dead orc bodies. Yes, Game Delay knows exactly what I'm going for. So there's part of that scene where Aragorn like gets really angry and he like kicks a helmet and screams. Well, in that scene, and this is the scene that they went with, when he kicks the helmet, he like breaks the heck out of his toe.
Like the actor in real life.
Yeah, the actor in real life, when he kicked the helmet, he broke his toe. And that scream is him like screaming in pain. Yeah. Which is hilarious and unfortunately painful.
I'm sure.
But yes, that's a random factoid of the day.
That's a similar fact to so this again, it's hard to pick just one because I can't think of any until they're like they come up. And I just thought of one that came up because it's almost the same as what Jordan said but from a different movie.
That's funny.
Pretty Woman, when she goes she's in the dress and he goes to pick her up and he has the necklace and he opens the box for the necklace and she goes to reach in and he like snaps, like closes it. That was not planned, and so her reaction and her laugh was real. And she looked, and you can see if you watch the movie, when she does it, she laughs and she looks because she's looking at the director, like, sorry I messed, or sorry I broke character kind of thing, and he loved it, so he kept it.
I have another one too. I can't remember which movie it's from. One of the Harrison Ford movies. What is it? The Indiana Jones films. There's a scene where he's like fighting some guy with like a bunch of swords. I think it's in not Temple Doom, the first one. The first one, yeah. So he's fighting a dude with swords. And originally, they scripted a whole fight scene. Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark, yeah. So they had scripted a whole fight scene for that section. But apparently, I believe he had dysentery at the time. Like he was sick. Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford did?
Yeah, during during that shoot, he was super sick. And so instead of like they went to like the end of a day of shooting and he was just like, screw this. And he just pulls the gun out and he shoots the guy. And he's like, bang. and that they kept that in the movie instead. Because he was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do that whole fight scene.
He had food poisoning and didn't want to do the scene.
Yeah.
All that's well and good. But show of hands if you knew that you have both a voluntary and involuntary anus.
I knew.
What?
She lives with me, so she knows.
Yep, I knew that one because of Jason.
She lives with me.
I remember too having that conversation sitting outside of a restaurant waiting for a table with Cassie. And like you're saying it really loud, and all these like it was in Gilbert, so all these like older
Did you
people.
know you have both a voluntary and
these older people
involuntary
are like,
anus?
What?
That's the kind of thing you say out loud at restaurants. Involuntary anus was going to be one of the bands I was in as a kid.
It's good.
That's how I learned that. Somebody's dad came out and said, "You call it involuntary
Hi.
anus."
I require a minute, sir.
Which one?
You're not here about the
Oh,
anus,
that one?
anus talk.
Take picture.
Can you give me 30 seconds?
Always got to
30 whole
circle
seconds?
back
Yeah,
to
you
poop
want 30
jokes.
seconds. 30
Exactly.
whole seconds? To hear about. I was doing
Some
cancer.
sphincters you get to choose. Others choose for you.
Oh no.
Mine's definitely. Oh, gotta go. Gotta go now.
What do you need?
I need that.
I'm doing anything.
Turbo
really quick.
T said, "Can someone help me with what the transparent paints are for? I'm new to miniature painting."
Yes.
They are. So the easiest way for me is to just show you. Let's get like a blue. So transparent blue. But any of them,
Oh,
they
sure.
are acrylic paints, just like any of the rest of the paints in our line, that are simply single pigment. So there's no mixture to them. Very, very vibrant, but also less opaque right out of the bottle. Okay. So just like any other paint, you can use them to, paint layers, and they're not as great for base coats because they are semi-translucent straight out of the bottle. But for layering, glazing, things like that. So I have very little water on my brush, right? Just enough dampness to give it a sheen. I'm gonna go grab a little bit of the blue, right? And to give you an idea, I'll paint this part of the
Yes, sir.
tooth on my hand snake, right? And you'll see it's a very, very vibrant blue, but you can make out the line underneath. So you'll be able to see colors underneath it, but it's going to be blue, right? Because it's super, super vibrant. But if I thin that down, and these you can thin super aggressively, right? So you can take just a ton of water and put them in, and you get a really nice filter. And I can drag that, actually, this probably didn't dry, drag that back in, and I can blend them around, right? To where they'll just go in and add a slight tinge of blue to that green. See? Right? So very easy to glaze with because they start in a better spot than opaque acrylics. I don't have to fight that initial opacity because in order to make a color opaque, you have to do a lot in the mixture to get that opacity. So to glaze with it, you got to do a lot to get rid of that opacity. The transparents just give you that right out of the gates, right? That little hint of blue in the green, but both colors look like I blended another color, and super quick. Just take a lot of water, right? I can even do it up here on this part, right? Take a lot of water, and I can thin that way, way down. I still get pigmentation. I don't know why you would want to put blue into brown and orange, but I did it, right? So they filter amazingly. You can turn them into washes. You can turn them into speed paints with our glazed wash medium. Anything you like. Mixed with metallics is one of the things that people love the most because they don't have enough opacity to get rid of the shine in the metal flake of the metallic paints. So really, really good there.
Slayer Street said, "While we're on this topic, I'm having a hard time understanding how adding the glaze and wash medium to the regular paint is different than the transparent set. Is it the pigmentation?"
You have a hard time understanding why it's different? Regular paints are opaque and transparents are not. You can get more, I guess, coverage with less, right? You're going to have to put more of the medium into your standard opaque paints in order to get them to be glazes, but it still helps and turns all of those colors into glazes. The transparents are no different. They just start less opaque so that you don't have to add as much to them to get that reduced opacity. They're literally just half the work or more is already done for you. There's no difference other than that. They paint just the same, feel just the same, right? They have a super intense, vibrant coloring to them. so that you can also mix them together to get any color you want and maintain that lack of opacity, right? But yeah, there's really not a difference. That's the whole point of them, is that they're just paint, but a lot of the initial steps have already been done by us in manufacturing to help you get them to a point where you can glaze, or like I said, mix them with metallics and things like that. The glaze wash medium is not like mutually exclusive in that conversation. It operates the same no matter what paint you put it with.
Source does would like to know if the transparents
Yep.
are single pigment.
Yep.
Scientologist, I know exactly which episode you're talking about. I've seen every episode of Friends at least 20 times.
Oh my gosh. That's so many times.
A good show.
Speaking of which, let's just take that blue I just had out,
You found a spot for it?
and I will use it.
Oh, that's funny. It wasn't supposed to open. So when he opened, or like when he pulled on it and it opened, and he kind of was like, that was
Surprised.
a genuine reaction.
There's a lot of really funny moments like that in movies where just weird stuff happens on accident and the person.
Game of Thrones with the Starbucks cup.
I always enjoy.
Oh
like,
yeah, there's a lot of
movies-
those.
movies that have the outtakes at the end, like in the credits and stuff when they
Oh,
show
yeah, yeah.
bloopers and outtakes and stuff. I love that stuff. It's so funny. Oh, Jackie Chan movies have all of that at the end. The first time I ever remember seeing it, and Jackie Chan was in this, was Jackie Chan was in
Rush Hour with Chris
no
Tucker.
the way older. He was either in Cannonball Run or Smokey and the Bandit. I think he was in Cannonball Run.
Would have been Cannonball Run.
Jackie Chan's great.
But I just remember even as a kid seeing the bloopers at it was Cannonball Run. Okay. They would show the bloopers at the end, and Burt Reynolds had that really great laugh.
Are acrylic inks the only types of acrylics that come with single pigment? No?
Mm-mm.
Uh-uh.
Not at all.
You haven't managed to find single pigment paints yet? A lot of ours are.
Mm-hmm.
Chimera Colors does single pigment paints. We do single pigment paints. Not every paint, right? But no, you can. Acrylic inks are inks. They're not suspensions, right? They're more solutions like dyes, just with an acrylic polymer binder. In most cases. Otherwise, they're acrylic paints. That's what separates a paint, ink and a paint. They will be single pigment, but they're Also solutions. They're like dyes that are soluble in the base. But yeah, we have a lot of single pigments in ours. We're coming out with 2 in the next grouping of paints. 2 of them are single pigment. The ultramarine and the bismuth yellow are single pigments. As is the satin black, our coal black, our titanium white, pyro red,
Dark magenta.
dark magenta.
There we go. I love that part of a miniature where you get to the point where it starts to kind of meld together with the other parts that you painted. Starts to feel like it belongs. Kind of hit that spot.
Avian, I want to remind you that I did not ask this question. Somebody else did. Someone in chat said, "What's the most random fact that you know?" Not my fault.
What's Avian complaining about?
He said, "This is not helping me, Jen. I'm remembering all these non-critical things and blanking out on more important ones."
Well, can't help you there.
I didn't do it.
It's not Jen's fault.
If you're hanging out
just
with
pass
us,
along the questions
But
that
I
are
am
being asked.
definitely thinking about all kinds of random things instead of what's important. The Don't Care Bear.
I love it.
Is
Heine the Don't Care Bear.
Massive Darkness.
Massive
Rainbow Crossing.
Rainbow Crossing.
Rainbow
say
Crossing
Rainbow
expansion
Connection.
for Massive Darkness.
Yep.
Bugbear.
Hug Bear.
You'll see it right on the
has,
front.
Some little unicorns, and it's got all kinds of fun stuff in it. If your wife is into the crazy pink bear, she might like the whole box. So you might have to paint the whole thing for her.
You might have to paint the whole thing. Unicorns. It's like, be right back. On it. Most obscure facts you know are probably about disability law or the history of the religion you're raised in.
Ooh, I mean, I would talk to you for hours about that.
Jen is very much into your crazy religions.
Well,
and I mean that as a term of endearment.
yes, and not just your particular religion. I'm interested in many religions.
I find theology fascinating.
Theology is amazing. It's a big social studies.
Yeah, it really is.
Baby cupids. I'm like, I know there was something else with the unicorns. They were little cupids.
Yes, there are cupids with the unicorn.
Not helping, Shelby. I'm in danger. You fight demon-possessed cherubs and unicorns.
They're demon possessed?
And a bear. Does this guy look like he's normal?
Yeah, he definitely looks
Yes.
demon-possessed.
So, eye exam for Jordan.
Oh my gosh, Mo said that since Baby J mentioned Lord of the Rings, in the theatrical version of the first movie, there is a short scene with Frodo and Sam in a field, and in the background, you can see a car driving away.
That's awesome.
That's like the Starbucks cup.
You said you were playing Noida yesterday?
Yeah,
How did you fare?
I got annoyed way too many times.
Ugh.
Here's an obscure fact most people don't know about Jason. He paints left-handed with a right-handed brush.
Oh, we only use left-handed brushes here.
That's even more impressive.
I had to use my chopsticks right-handed the other day
What?
when we were at sushi. Yeah,
Why?
because I was seated. Oh my gosh. I was seated to the left, and the sushi plates are all in the middle of the table, and I couldn't really go like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I would go like, ugh, instead of, ugh. It worked okay. Didn't drop anything, which is great. It'd be so weird having having Gabe and Chris right next to us, like right over there. They're like literally 10 feet over there, on the other side of that door. It's gonna be so weird.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was waiting on.
Yep.
Gabe to scream, "I'm right here!"
Well, no more talking about Gabe.
Oh, we can talk about Gabe until we drop.
He was always listening.
Just means when you make fun of him on purpose, it's even better because you know he can hear you.
I believe we have. Well, I don't know. Have we officially employed all of the Empty Wallets crew? Is it just
Yeah.
Philip, Gabe, and
Yep.
Chris? Then yes.
Jason's like,
This was the
This
cheapest,
will not stand.
cheapest buyout of a YouTube channel in the history of YouTube.
I have tiny microphones planted everywhere, and it's connected to my brain. So he just hears everything.
That is concerning. Gabe, I don't think you're supposed to do that.
I just am worried that we're gonna have to pay him extra for that.
He already paid for the microphones. It'll be on his expense report.
You're just like, why do I see these on here? Like, oh yeah, that don't worry about those. Just makes it so I can hear everything. Why do you need to hear everything?
We're the Empty Wallets crew, and we'll never sell out. All three get jobs at the same place. Is that like their slogan?
Well, you guys almost can't call yourself Empty Wallet Screw anymore. Now that you're getting money stuck in your wallet.
Wait, we paid them for this?
It was part of the contract. Unless they're not getting paid, in which case.
Then we need to rethink this whole thing.
I mean, nobody told me about this, so.
Jen's like, nope, not taking responsibility for that one. This is on all of you guys. You just say it's chat's fault, right? Make chat take the heat for this one.
9 times out of 10, that's a safe bet. Got a problem? Chat's fault.
I think so. Usually works pretty well for me.
Gonna have to sell the other kidney. Yeah, oh, Gabe said I saw cool pictures of new Imperialis models. Gonna have to sell the other kidney.
Yep.
I have not mentioned it yet, but I may have invested in Imperialis.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Said I wasn't, and I might have done it. So I found.
Yeah!
So. Gabe just had a heart attack over in that room. So I may have
Gabe
found.
and I had the same reaction. He's like, I'm sitting down.
Tangent, yes.
Do tell.
All right, details, please.
So I might have to
we'll
admit
get that in just a
that
second,
I
Tangent.
found a third party
Oh.
that makes Mark II armored Imperialis Marines.
I'm down. I'm so in.
So I bought an entire
Yes.
crap ton of Mark II armored 3D printed Imperialis Marines.
Okay.
Kyle, were you watching or did you hear that from Shelby's and just log in just to say
What?
This is fantastic news.
So
This is
it's all
fantastic
Mark II
news.
Marines, Assault Marines, all of them are all Mark II, which has like my favorite armor. Like if you know the whole deal with me is that my Blood Angels, the only reason I decided to do these guys was because I found 3D printable Mark II armor at Primaris scale, right? So that I can get, because I really love the old bulky looking Marines much better than the new skinny leg guys. So this is the same style of armor with the same style of fan backpack that I found for Imperialis.
This is great news.
So
This is great news.
This is great news. Well, now I have.
I had to
finish mine.
also buy like real stuff because the same guy doesn't make like tanks, so I had to buy like Sakarans and
So
all
you-
that other
so
crap.
You're playing Astartes.
Astartes, yeah.
So, you want to hear something else that's really
Nice.
funny about that whole thing? So, James literally went and picked up a box of Imperialis this weekend.
They were playing Imperialis.
So, we have quite a few of us here that are partaking. Now, it's what? Me, Christopher, Gabe,
Yep.
Kyle,
Jason and James.
Jason, James.
No, Philip?
Phil did not buy it yet.
Not yet.
Yet.
But, I mean, you know how it goes.
Chris also technically didn't really. Christopher has a big Titan. That's it.
Yes.
And a bunch of little dudes.
Jason, were you able to acquire tanks and stuff as well?
Right,
Yeah,
I just
I
had to be in there
got-
for that.
I got.
Oh, you got the whole thing.
I got like 6 or 8 rhinos. I got a couple Sakarans, like 3 Sakarans.
Nice.
I got some other stuff. I got enough. I got Titans and all that stuff already.
Yeah. We got plenty of that stuff.
Knights. and
Okay,
all that.
so Tangent 313 has a question. Do you guys have a habit established to minimize the tendency for paint to dry on the tip of the paint bottles?
Tip of the paint bottle?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you just remove it. Here, I'll pull my palette over. I'll show you.
You can do a couple things. One is before you, like after you squeeze your paint out, don't close it immediately. Set the bottle down on your desk and let the paint kind of settle and then close it. That will reduce some of the paint that spurts out. But then this is really the best way right here that
Yeah.
Jordan's going to show you.
So I'm gonna zoom out. Okay, so we're gonna throw some of this bright ivory on the palette.
So start, squeeze out a little less than you think you might need.
Yep. And then when I close it,
Spats nat no.
you get that little bead on top, right? And then you just go whoop, and you just put it right on your palette. And then what'll happen is it'll dry on the top, but there will be a area that is not completely sealed over. So you can just open it back up after it's dry and you can paint. You don't have to chip anything off. You can also, if you're really feeling spicy, you can just wipe it off with a piece of paper towel. You go dish. You do that. But that is not necessary if you do the previous thing.
And Red Zyphos, with your question, that's just the pressure building up in the bottle.
Yes.
Kind of like when you close a water bottle,
Mhm,
you know, this sometimes pressure builds up and you open it and you can hear it like
Yeah.
spurt a little.
Yep. Do
Just
this.
twist the bottom cap. You don't even have to take it all the way off.
Nope.
Just turn that part like you're going to take it off.
Yeah.
Just kind of crack it.
Yep.
And release some of the pressure that's in there.
Yep.
Because
And
they're super sealed. The bottles are sealed really tightly so that the
Mhm.
paint doesn't dry out.
that will give you great experiences with solving those problems.
Source said I'm always worried that some of the dried paint will fall off into the paint.
Well, you can chip it off if you feel like there's something that's going to fall off.
I literally do exactly what Baby J just said.
Yep.
Put a dropout on your palette, then close the lid, wipe the rest out on your palette, and then wipe it on a paper towel.
Yeah, you could after the palette, after you wipe that usable amount on the palette that pushes out a little bit when you close it, wipe it on your palette, and then just have a paper towel if you're that concerned.
Yep. Yeah, if you use a paper towel, you won't have issues with dried paint because it'll get it nice and clean. But you do not need to do that.
Tips on flying with a go bag. Have to plan to check the bag. Been thinking about getting one. So the paint, you can't fly with liquid in your carry-on. So when Jason went to Minnesota a couple weeks ago,
you can only fly with enough to fit inside of that quart bag.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're allowed to, and this is all per TSA guidelines. So that's what we go by. TSA allows you to take
Quart bag of
a quart
less than
size
3
Ziploc
milliliter
bag
bottles.
and up to 3 ounces of liquid per container that you can fit in. So if you can fit 6 3-ounce containers into a Ziploc bag and you can fill them all with liquid, that's fine. That works on the carry-on. So you could carry on a few bottles, probably put them in a Ziploc bag, you're fine. But if you're looking to carry the whole 96 paints, then you're going to have to check those. So with Jason, what we did was we took the foam trays, put them in a couple grocery bags, put them in a suitcase, and then the space that was filled up, he just took that stuff out and put it into the go bag, and that was his carry-on. Scott Radham said, I flew from Canada to Vegas, checked the go bag, and it came out super fine. It's durable.
Yeah, you can also check it. We've made them super durable, although I never like doing that just because it is much better to check a hard case or something that, on rollers, and then use the go bag with all its carrying capacity for all your carry-on.
For your miniatures, too.
I just traveled to do the deal with Scott Miniac, and I took the new Go Bag Neo half size, and I gotta say, I'm in love. I think that's probably all I'll travel with for short trips. So I'm not going to like Adepticon for a week.
Just like what we said about the question of how do you avoid the eruption when you open your paint, same thing after you fly, or even after you drive and change elevation. Like if you were going to drive up into the mountains and then come back, you're going to have changes in the pressure. So just the same thing, you just crack the bottle at the cap, like you're going to take the cap fully off. You don't have to twist it all the way off, but just open it up a little bit, release that pressure.
Wonderful world
The bear
of fluid
comes
dynamics.
in an expansion box set. Yeah, I don't think that it's made by itself or it's sold by itself.
What is?
The hug bear.
Oh yeah, it is a part of that set.
Yeah, weather changes, same thing. They're pressurized. No, he didn't. That's what I'm saying is that they're sealed really well. If you close the bottles tightly, they shouldn't leak because they're sealed. Jason didn't have any problems, but he did put the foam tray in a grocery bag just in case. But nothing leaked, right?
No.
Yeah, and just make sure that you secure it tightly if it's loose, or if you don't tighten the screw on top all the way, then you can have issues with that. But
I do that more because if TSA
true.
goes in and digs into your bag, having it in the bag kind of gets them thinking that they got to put it back that way.
Yeah.
If they like go twisting caps or something,
But
I never know what people are doing with my luggage.
Any liquid will spill if it's not closed tightly. So just close it tightly.
Yeah, I was gonna say these are questions that you do the same thing with your shampoo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know why this is always a question.
Same thing.
yeah.
Critical Falcon said, I just tuned in. Can I know the process that the non-metallic gold has been so far?
Sure. Yeah. We'll
Want
give
to
you guys
test
a
some
rundown
stuff
again.
for my Dante.
So, 4 colors. Yeah, we still have not used any bright ivory or anything yet to punch everything up. We're still working with that same 4 colors. The first 2 colors are, let me zoom out just a little bit. First 2 colors are burnt orange and yellow green. This formulates the base of that kind of warmth, cool mixture. You can see a lot of it here on the leg. Ooh. So if I kind of point
Source,
you here,
you never pack liquids. You just
you
buy
can see
everything
this
you need when you go
green
in.
band here, which is that nice cool shadow, and then this warm band in the middle, which is the warm highlights. And so we start with a mixture of those as the base coat. You can see some of it down here. Here's kind of like a progression of like sort of started painted and then more, and then you can see it's more progressed as you get to this area over here. But the once you get those two colors in, start mixing in a little bit of warm yellow. That brings that yellowish hue that makes it feel like gold. And then to bring your opacity and your vibrancy, you're using pale yellow. And basically I'll use these four colors in a lot of different combinations to get different kind of hues that I want. So like in this area here, you can see this really, really warm, almost reddish patch here is more burnt orange with a little bit of warm yellow and pale yellow. And then you can see this little patch right below it that's a little bit more green. That's heavier on the dark yellow green. So I'm adjusting the mixes, show you my palette as well, based on kind of the area that I want to be a certain vibrancy. You can see kind of that yellowish green here. You can see the warm kind of brown yellows over here.
Thanks,
You
go
can
Sue.
see some of that really, really red kind of glazy area
Go
over
suit
here.
19 months.
And then the bright colors up here in the top. And then basically what I'm doing when I'm deciding where to put the highlights is I'm thinking about a sort of top-down, sort of all-around kind of evening light. Not like nighttime yet, but as it's starting to move towards the really, really warm part of the day. And I'm thinking about how that light will interact with the top of the model, right? So the further up here, see these yellow, kind of broad yellow highlights will be wider, whereas on the leg, they're a lot tighter, and there's not as much towards the bottom of the model. There's some like reflected light on the bottom, but more of it is centralized on the top, right? And that is because these nice, slightly larger open surface panels are going to get more of that light. They're less curved, so you're not going to get as much of that kind of stark, contrasty metallic feel as you will get on something like the legs, which has a lot more kind of a lot of more curves to it. So that's a lot of the things I'm thinking about when I'm doing all these highlights. And then it's just kind of pushing up the vibrancy, and then bringing back the warmth from the yellows and the oranges to kind of bring the saturation level to what I'm looking for. You can kind of see a little bit of a difference here from this back bit on the kind of the back of the hip versus up here where there's a lot more of that kind of orangey warmth. This still feels pretty yellowy green, so I need to do some adjusting here to make it feel more like these two patches of gold here. And then once I'm done kind of with this gold, I'm going to mess around with some of the silvers that are going to be on like this hip joint here, the kneecap joints here, the feet, things like that, the shoulder joint that's right here.
Said that looks so amazing. Thank you for the rundown. Can I
Yeah.
just have you paint my Dante for me?
You can paint your Dante. You can use these colors and give it a shot, and message me on the Discord. I'd be happy to help you out.
Wildman Vol, the small bags not available yet. Why they're not on the website.
Soon, TM.
Bakamaru comic count went well. They didn't finish. Not even really halfway. But as far as the value, like the most valuable ones, I think they went through most of
for
those.
the comics, yeah. We hit all the big ticket
Hit
items
the big
that we were in
ones
there.
pretty much. Satin black is an upcoming color. Yes. Is that going into a signature set, or is it just a regular
Yeah.
color?
I'll just throw back my
Signature
legs
set.
and pollute my breeches with delight.
It's not really a signature set, but yes, it's in its own
Be its own.
6-color set. Similar to the way you're used to the signatures coming out now.
Final total was somewhere around 62.
62, 64, something like that.
that.
Gabe would probably know. since he was typing it in there.
It was
They
a
will
lot.
not all be
It
satin.
was a lot. Did you think we would get that high, Jason?
No. I didn't really. I joked about it, but I would have thought that the collection on its whole, like as a total collection, would have been somewhere in that neighborhood. 50 grand, something like that.
Yeah.
Scott, there will be 2 more, but we have not announced the artists. Or any of the brown satin, yes. Which brown is in Ben's? Petroleum brown is gloss.
Yeah, petroleum brown is gloss. We don't
Is there a brown that's satin?
Well,
Right.
because
No.
the brown gray is matte. It's one of the few colors in those 2 sets that is matte.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And Ben's set doesn't have a brown.
Source just wants to know if we have any satin browns.
No.
No, but you can make one. We have gloss varnish, which you can use just like you would in medium to mix a little bit of that gloss varnish. You want to use very little of it because it tends to make it really glossy. Just add a little touch of it to whatever brown you're looking to get to more of a satiny finish, and it'll work great for that.
Dark burgundy is not really brown.
Dark burgundy is definitely not brown. It's like it's kind of like a reddish brown, but it's not. It's not even brown. It's not
It's
brown.
No.
like more
Mahogany
It
is
really
more of a
is not.
brown than any of your
Yeah.
burgundies.
Yeah.
Question is, since I do 2 cars, can Jason has Porsche? Not quite. He can maybe get the wheels.
You can get more than the wheels. Probably buy an
What?
engine for a Porsche.
What are we talking about?
Bakamara was just wanting to know if you got enough to get your Porsche.
I mean, we could go get a Porsche with it, but the
Not
monthly
the one-
payment we
Not the
wouldn't
one
be
that
able to
he
pay.
wants. Yeah.
Yeah, monthly payment would still be. It would have been the monthly payment for probably like a $55,000 car, right? Which is still pretty
You can get a
expensive.
nice Porsche hat. Yes,
Probably
exactly.
even more, to be honest, because taxes on that would be a nightmare.
Painting by the Hill, happy to help. I'm glad that that you were able to grab that. And that question actually prompted me to make sure that we had them. Which I knew we did, I just didn't know how many. So
I'm using some of that pure pale yellow there in those highlight areas, just trying to reinforce the bands of light on this guy.
I mean, that's what I thought came to Lee. So
What's
I
that?
know all kinds of stuff about cars too. 15,000 per wheel? That seems about right. And I definitely know about cars. You betcha.
Yeah, you betcha. I definitely have an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm just expecting if you're trying to get a $100,000 car, you're not walking out of there for less than 110, 115, 120 with taxes and all that stuff that they stick you with. Although you probably negotiate a decent amount of that down. But still a lot of money. Those cars are expensive.
Really much negotiating that goes on at that point.
No.
Actually, now that I think
Those-
about it,
those people
when you're
just
buying a
walk
car
in
that
and are like,
expensive,
I can
yeah, you
afford
don't.
this. So
Yeah.
here you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Price
probably
on the window, that's what I'll pay.
Yeah. Well, and most of those people will get them, they get custom stuff, right? So they want a special trim or they want a particular color, they get them custom ordered. I can't imagine a ton of people buy them straight off the lot. Some might.
I think the people who just want it and swap out their cars often probably do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Shelby said my dream car is a Rolls Royce, so that's never happening. Not with that attitude.
Dude,
not
you can buy
manifest
used
that.
Royals. You can buy a used Rolls fairly inexpensive. Gray Ghost or whatever it's called.
Ghost who said, unless you're
If you want an
absolutely
old one.
balling, I feel like the best play is to get a car that's used with like 20,000 miles and 2 years old.
Yep.
Yeah, you could.
No, we weren't talking about buying a new Porsche.
Yeah.
We would
My
be
dream
getting a
car is a
pre-owned.
walkable neighborhood.
Pre-owned
like
Porsche.
That too.
We let somebody else take the big hit. We're not trying to go be the sucker in that deal. But even with secondhand Porsche,
Well, you're gonna pay.
you're paying a wazoo.
Yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, the only Porsche I want is fairly new, so there's not a lot of secondhand ones that are cheaper.
Yeah.
And when I say that's what I want, I'm being very tongue in cheek. I am not. If you knew me at all, you would laugh right now. You'd be like, "You?
Jason wants a Porsche. What?
What?"
I thought he was joking.
It's only that I was driving around one day and I was like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
And I
then
fell in love
he
with
came
it.
home. He's like, I found the car I want.
It's such an amazing looking car.
It's the
Scott
Panamera, right?
Yeah, the Panamera.
Radham said it was nice to see you folks at the booth at LVO.
Yeah, it was
I
nice
got my
to see
20
you.
bucks from being a November challenge winner, and I
Yep.
won enough that I had to pay Yankee taxes.
Oh, dang. Thanks for coming down, though. It was great to see you.
Playing tournaments, Scott? And if so, how'd you do?
Has Porsche made a bad-looking car? I've not seen one. Don't they have a really ugly,
Yes.
big?
Yeah, they have some.
Yeah, their
some
SUVs are garbage.
Yeah.
not so great looking
Not so
cars for
great.
sure.
Anything that they had made four-door before the Panamera was garbage.
Oh, is the Panamera 4-door? I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yep, four-door sedan. They have a hatch and a trunk. And surprisingly, both look very, very good.
Iron Joe said, as a 911 owner, I support your admiration of the Panamera. Does it bother you the way we say Porsche?
I hope not.
As a Porsche owner.
Iron Joe, that's
Tell
awesome.
us.
Yeah, the Panamera is an amazing looking car. I was surprised, because Porsche had done such a bad job with four-door vehicles. And
It does not bother Iron Joe that we say Porsche.
they do have a new one source that I've seen. I don't pay attention to expensive cars, so I'm sitting here talking as if I do. I really don't. The only reason is I saw one of these out on the road. My brother-in-law told me what it was. I went home and Googled it and fell in love with it. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Game Delay said, I think secondhand Porsche is what you inhale when someone talks about their Porsche for too long.
Yeah, probably.
That's so good.
Never invite the
you-
medical attorney.
Do you inhale secondhand Porsche or secondhand Porsche?
Oh, God. Stop it. Why are you fueling this fire?
Because I'm me.
Oh, Scott
And
didn't
I
do a
do that.
tournament at LVO, but took the Ben Comets Masterclass.
Oh,
So
nice.
It was great.
I remember you telling us that.
Now I own 3 of the signature sets, though, as I got one with the class.
Yeah,
Hey.
Ben reached out to us and was like, I want to give everybody a signature. I was like, yep, done.
See if there's a friend that you could sell it to. Like, they maybe give them a little break on the price.
Got a friend in the painting.
JP Gray owns a Mercedes model Pokemon van. A Pokevan.
It's kind of like saying you have a smart car, or that you own a BMW, but it's one of those smart cars.
Huh? I don't get it.
Well, because he's saying boasting for owning a Mercedes,
Oh,
but it's a Sprinter van.
yeah.
Those are good Sprinter vans, but the smart cars were made by either Mercedes or BMW for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Saying, yeah, I own a BMW, and then you come up in that meep meep.
Meep, meep.
Well, Tomato said when I went to buy my second car around 2004, I think, the place I went had a Jaguar in my price range from 1992.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Luckily-
Big like XJS with square
Yeah.
headlights kind of Jaguar.
Luckily, I was not dumb enough to actually do it.
Yeah, those are a bummer because those were like a V12. They had you could get one that had a ridiculous motor. They were really neat cars in concept, but Jaguar back then was horrible cars.
Oh, really?
Oh my
I
God, the
didn't realize.
electrical systems in them alone would cost you a fortune just to maintain.
Oh, bummer.
JP
Yeah.
said it's the best van. It's big. It fits my life-size stuffed Snorlax. It's perfect.
I worry about you, JP.
I don't know what that means.
The Snorlax is kind of like
Definitely
what I'm
sounds
holding in my
made up.
hand.
Oh,
If it were a Pokemon, it's a big roly-poly bear
oh,
that
Yeah.
sleeps all the time.
I think a bear
life-sized.
is a very good way to describe it.
How is it life-sized?
Yeah, exactly.
It would be very large if it were life size. A bit taller than in standard
How do we
Hunan.
know? So sprinter vans are a nightmare. Have fun on the highway in a crosswind. It's a sailboat.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. The
Man.
extended roof one that I wanted was like when I drove it, it was really windy in Colorado, and I was like, well, I think I can handle this. It was brutal.
I experienced so much of that driving from Seattle to here.
Yeah.
It was
In a
a-
moving
Oh,
van.
Oh
it's
my god, yeah, we
Yeah.
got it in the basically the plains when we were driving through like the bottom end of Oregon into the north end of Nevada. It was just so windy that whole time, and we could literally feel the whole truck going. So it was very scary.
The big fat Pokemon, 6.5 feet tall, and it's so big I can sleep on it.
That's awesome. Like a love sack.
Yeah. They all have all Pokemon have canon stats like they were real animals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're in the right place to ask the people who use it every day.
Yes, Source. We have definitely dry brushed with Acryl significantly. It's amazing. Works great for it. In fact, you dry brushed this model, did you not?
I dry brush this guy, yeah.
There you go. Pink Bear is pink. Right. As he should be.
They told me to paint pink. I wasn't shying away from it. I made him hot pink. I kept painting the pink until Shelby squeed.
She
when
did
was like,
squeak.
"Ooh," I was
I'm
like, nailed
okay,
it.
I've hit
That was not a lie.
the right level of pink.
She squeed. This is accurate.
And hello, Chuck.
Hi. Also, presumably, hello, Jade.
What's up,
I
Chuck?
know. So far, only Chuck.
Usually, we get both.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody went with my joke.
I
I
missed
did.
it.
I
I'm
got
sorry.
it.
I missed it.
What's up, Chuck?
What's up,
it's
Chuck?
the stuff that happens after too much drinking.
That makes sense. That was a joke that made sense to me.
Shelby just loves that bear so much.
Shelby's gonna want to steal it. You realize that, right?
Yep.
She's gonna steal it. She's gonna put it into her office. You will never see it again.
Well, I will, because it doesn't get to leave the office. She'll have to bring it in if people want to see, has Jason ever painted pink? I'll be like,
she's gonna have to
"Slebby?"
run to the other side of the building.
Jade said, "Are you
Slebby?
looking for me?"
Huh?
Why, yes, we were.
What's that?
Jade said, "Are you looking for me?"
Yes, we were. Hello.
Chuck is super disappointed that the comic book stream wasn't still going on at 5 a.m. Sunday.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm very glad that it was not going at 5 a.m. on Sunday.
I was down, but I got to be honest. As soon as all of us got to the restaurant, we stared at each other. We go, "Wow, we were a lot more tired than we thought we were."
Yeah, very
As
true.
soon as the stream is off, you lose a lot of your energy.
Very true.
It happens,
Big
like,
size.
when we're in here painting or whatever. If you've ever streamed, you get the energy that you share with chat keeps you going.
Yep.
As soon as you turn it off and there's no more chat, you go downhill quick. It's like, oops,
Yeah.
I'm ready for bed. I could have streamed for another 8 hours, but I was fine not streaming for another 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could have kept going.
Source said, "Any idea why Squidmar had such a bad experience with the first layer of Pro-Acryl in his ridiculous massive paint test?"
Because they used the cheapest spray cans on Earth in order to do it.
The primer?
He even admitted that to me. He was like, "Yeah, we just had to spray like 200 models real quick, so we used like the cheapest hardware spray cans they could find and old stuff they had laying around." And I'm like, okay, if you're serious about painting models, I'm just going to go out and say it. Do not use rattle can primer.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Rattle can primer, not a single one on the planet, is manufactured to be able to do fine detail work. It's not what they're built for. They're built for priming large areas quickly. Right? They're meant to take away the hassle. As a matter of fact, most primers are made to bypass the stages of priming that you really need to do, which is wet sanding your first 2 or 3 layers. Ask JP Gray. He tried to be an auto body paint guy. You don't just prime a car. You prime a car like a bunch of times.
Yep.
And each layer is meant to be sanded. So that's why you have self-leveling primers that make it easier to sand and things like that. But primers as a model thing, rattle can, not your friend. You can't control them. When they don't mix well, you can't change that. They're just horrible. You waste so much material.
Do you know if he ever publicly corrected that?
No, he doesn't have. Why would he? He gets 1 million views by being a YouTube guy with clickbait titles. And I love him, but it isn't something that he cares enough about to go back and say anything. Unless we really dog him. We sent him a whole thing, contacted him via Messenger. He responded back. He's a really great guy. But a lot of people don't understand the fundamental chemical makeup of paint, but they talk about paint a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a problem when you create a new paint like Acryl, because Acryl does not work like other paints. We didn't build it to. It wasn't intended to. It's meant to be something different. You can go buy the other paints, or have been able to for years and years and years. We wanted to make something that acted different, felt different, gave you a different experience when painting. But one of the hangups with that is that with a little bit longer open time, with a little bit better blending capability, you will suffer if the primer has a little bit of a waxy surface, and that happens in cold weather or old cans very, very easily. So
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is a lot of people will keep their cans of primer around for way too long.
yeah, and understand once that can has been cracked and used, it's intended to be finished. You can't use it, put it on a shelf, expect it to stay good. You've already released some of the air.
Chromatic Miniatures said, oh my goodness, all the misinformation out there in the hobby world about how paint works and what causes certain behaviors will make your head spin.
Yeah, it's
and it's
wild.
a shame because
Yeah.
people feel like they have to talk that way to gain relevance or to seem like
They know
they're
what's
worth
going on.
listening to, when you don't have to talk about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally talk about your experience with the paint and then go research and come back and tell things that you found, and I think people would love you more, right? But yeah, we deal with that all the time through customer service, because somebody will watch their favorite streamer, they'll call up and they'll use a bunch of buzzwords with us, and we're like, none of that is true.
Yep.
And then we help them fix their problem, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I contacted you.
Yep.
Which is great. That's what we're here for. It's just sometimes it takes longer to get there because people have so many different avenues to hear about things. And you might hear 15 people say 15 different things, and then it's confusing. But that's the way it is on just about anything, not just painting. I'm sure scuba diving, 3D printing, you name it. You remember the first model you painted using Acryl didn't go well at all and you got super nervous. You had just gone all in, turned out being a rattle can primer's fault. Yeah, tangent. I mean, and I hate that because a lot of people tell me, well, I don't have the ability to airbrush prime my models. And I'm like, okay, how much do your rattle cans cost you? Because if you're spending less than, $20 a can, $18 a can, then I can guarantee you in most cases your paint is garbage. There are some good ones out there, right? But they're very hard to find, and they seem to change the formula all the time. And so that's why rattle can never was something I trusted in even as a young kid. It was all we had. But as soon as I could prime in another way, and I started brush priming early on, because rattle can primer was so satiny and waxy surface, and when painting with enamels and stuff like that, it was just horrible. So if you can airbrush is your best friend, because you'll get better results every single time. If you can't, then just try to buy a ultra flat colored primer. And if it ever is shiny when you spray it on your models, it either wasn't mixed well, wasn't at the right temperature, or it's bad. Because if the matte medium drops out of suspension in the can, it'll generally never mix back up. And that's the shame. Because you never know how long has that been sitting in a warehouse before you bought it. How many times does it get cold and hot and all that kind of stuff. So rattle can's always kind of a bad idea. But if it's all you got, go for it. And if you do have a waxy surface, and it's not going to feel waxy, but that's how it acts. It acts like putting paint on wax paper. It'll kind of pull and beat up in certain areas. Paint with a thinner coat right? It doesn't mean thin it down to water. It means put less paint on the model, right? And when you do that, it won't look good, right? You'll be able to see the primer through it, but put less paint on and act that as a skim coat. And when you do that skim coat, let that dry, and then your model will paint perfectly after that. What you have to do is kind of break the surface inconsistencies of the primer, and you just do that with a very thin coat of paint. And again, that's a tough word to use because I don't mean dilute the paint down. I mean put the paint on very lightly, almost like dry brushing the model after you've primed it with your base coat color, because you want to get enough paint on there to give it some tooth to take place for what the primer was supposed to do but isn't doing, and then paint over it again. So you can definitely do it, and we do it all the time. I've gone to shows where I've had to grab somebody's rattle can to prime a model and paint it, and my first layer sucks, right? It just looks horrible. But then the second layer is perfect. So you might just have to do 2 of your initial base coats.
We have a question from Boneyard. Do you take the same approach to painting small minis compared to larger minis?
Do you mean like overall approach to how I layer and things like that? Yeah. It's going to be a little different depending on how much area I have. You know, with a bigger model, I might undercoat more colors, whereas a smaller model might not show all those colors, so it's kind of a waste of time. You know, it's all an economy of scale, right? If I have this much area to paint in, I can put base layer, next subtle color, then a mid-tone, and a brighter mid-tone, and brighter. I can use a lot of color in that big area. You know, nights, models like this even are pretty big. You know, so I can put a lot more coloring into it and get a lot more of that value out of it because there's so much space. But like on a Space Marine, I don't have that, right? You're talking about an area like this. And so I might skip 3 of those colors, where I might have 7 colors on a big model. I'll reduce that down to 3 or 4 on a smaller model because that's all I'm going to see. I really want to make sure that I'm efficient in my application of paint so that depending on the scale, if I know I can't see at the end when I'm done all the work that I've done, then I don't do the work. So that's really the only difference in my mind as I'm sitting here telling you on the fly. Lacquer primers are very good. They just require heavier solvents to clean them, which is a bummer.
Yeah, lacquers are rough to deal with. They also take a bit longer to dry from my experience.
Yeah, Scott Radom, exactly. A lot of those are lacquers, yep. Just make sure that they dry very, very good. Tangent, yeah. You can brush it on. Again, when you brush on our primer, the first layer looks like garbage. It looks like you just painted with skim milk. Whether you're using white or black, you'll see more of the plastic, but that's what you want. You want to build the primer up in layers, right? One of the biggest things we talk about a lot around here and with customers and customer service, and it shows when we get to talk to people, is that your first application of paint is not the winning application. It's the final layer of paint that is the winning layer of paint that makes the model look like what you want it to look like. The initial layers don't have to look great. We get customer service all the time where somebody's like painting a base layer and shoots us a picture, and I go, and? Looks great. Do the next coat. And they're like, but is it supposed to look like that? I'm like, yeah, it is supposed to look like that. And your first coat isn't supposed to be good looking. As a matter of fact, your 10th coat isn't supposed to be good looking unless it's your final one. You know, your final 2 or 3 coats of paint should be the best looking colors on the model and be blended and smooth and all of that. Your first layers are, you know, the garbage phase. Just get color down, have it adhere, give it some tooth.
Well, I mean,
every time I paint, I feel like it looks terrible until it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the best way to say it. And it's funny because that's like how long is a piece of string.
Right.
But all models look bad until they don't.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just depending on what you're doing. You know, Jordan over here doing non-metallic metal, it doesn't really pop as metal until you get to your brightest step.
Yeah.
And the rest of it just looks like, you know, semi-blended, you know, odd colors. But then when you put that shine on it, it's like, holy hell. You know?
Yeah, I mean, go back to the VOD of the stream. Even you can go back and look at what it looked like as I was starting to work the metallic up on the back of the shoulders and the hip, and you can look at it in comparison between the leg and the shoulder pieces, and you can see how it just doesn't look right for until maybe half an hour or 45 minutes ago when it started to really come together. And I mentioned it. I was like, oh, hey, look at that. It finally started to look like it belongs.
I am Robert. How does your approach change when doing display type things like this versus table ready things that you want to try and get through a bit more quickly? Generally, it's you stop earlier in the process. And and that might seem funky because, you know, depending on how you do your steps, you can't just stop midway if you don't want to do the rest of the work because you're not done yet. But again, it's like if I know I'm going to paint something at display quality, I know I'm going to invest a lot more time. Those final, you know, bright highlights, bright mid-tone, and final highlights take 90% or 80% of the time you spend on a model.
Yeah.
And so for tabletop, you're not doing that. Maybe you're not blending as much. Maybe I've used more sketchy stuff. You know, this as just a fun tabletop guy is done to where it's dry brushed a lot to pick out the hair and a lot of the wash to put the hot pink on there, right? And the only thing I really spent any time on was the white fur and the gold chain, right? The rest of it's just done very, very quick because it's just meant to be bright and shiny and fulfill a purpose. As opposed to, you know, when you want to paint something at a very high level, right? And so you're going to go over it and over it and over it again until you get those areas done the way you want. So you might be glazing and then highlighting and then glazing again to knock the highlights down to midtones and then highlight it and then glaze it again and glaze it again. And, you know, I've gone in and, you know, non-metallic metal on each of these individual 4 billion little rings on her ring mail, you know, stuff like that. You're spending more time. You're looking more at textures. And so it's not necessarily even that I'm using more color. It's that I'm going back and forth with the colors I am using more times to dial in texture and lighting and all of that. So it really is just a concept of you know, your understanding and comfort with how you know, recreate all of those images and the feel of the model. We usually talk about it in light and texture. Those are the things that bring a model to life. And so tabletop models don't get all that. They get contrast. Right?
Yep.
You want them to be from 3 feet away. You want to be able to see what they are, right? So, you know, we paint a model like this when we want to put it on the table, right? And it has good contrast. I can tell that's a catapult. I can tell it has stripes. I can tell it's got, you know, doohickeys and guns and whatever else. And that's good. But that's not going to survive like a lot of scrutiny up close. You know, it's fine. It's great tabletop, but you're really just painting for contrast. When you paint for competition and show quality and display quality, you're now taking that contrast and turning it into textures and light.
Yeah.
So that it has however much or little realism you really want on the model.
Well, and for me, a lot of it is when I'm painting stuff for like armies and like big army projects where I need to replicate the same thing over and over again, it comes down to I have a set of steps that I just repeat on every model. This is one of those things where I have a set of colors that I'm using for this, but the steps are not exact. There's a lot of areas where I go in and I mix a specific hue for a specific part of the model that I want to get a shade on. And, you know, those sort of things you don't typically do on the tabletop stuff because it takes so much longer to mix and create all of those very like individual hues and shades and textures and things, right?
Source says, do you consider triads when you make colors, or do you expect us to mix to get to the steps? I expect you to mix quite a bit when painting, period. If you rely on triads, you're never going to be happy past a certain point. No matter whose triads, no matter if they put 3 or 6 in their lines, like some of our competitors do. That's a way to get you to buy unnecessary colors, in my opinion. I'd rather have you get good at quick mixing of colors, because when you're painting, you don't need like a whole bottle of that color. You just need a little bit of that color as a mid-tone. And so I, you know, like here, or, you know, even doesn't matter, right? You know, pick a model. You know, I'll say what is my brightest color and what is my darkest color. Like here, you know, with maybe, you know, dark golden brown or burnt orange on the beard and pale yellow highlights. And so as I'm sketching it in, I'll take the burnt orange base that I paint on there, or the burnt sienna base, and then I'll take the pale yellow and I'll just start adding pale yellow to the burnt sienna to get me to the point where I now have my highlight as my initial sketch. And then I might glaze in other colors along the way, right? It just depends. But yeah, mixing is going to be a large component of what you do, even at the army painting level, you know? Now, you may mix enough paint to put it in an empty bottle and have that for that army, but I doubt you'll use all those colors enough to justify having to buy a bunch of triads. We do have some. We've got, like our yellow greens have a dark yellow green, bright yellow green. All of them are not, we don't design them as triads, though. Understand when I say that. They're not just tint, tones, and shades of each other. Sometimes they'll have a little bit of a hue shift, so that if you use dark yellow green, and bright yellow green as a workup, you're going to get a very nuanced color. It's not just going to be a carbon copy of the same color, darker and lighter. So it may be a little confusing, which is why we don't sell it as a triad, right? They are, by name, though, exactly that. But they're going to have more punch. There's more yellow in the bright yellow green than in either of the other two. So as a highlight, it's going to give you more punch where you need it, as opposed to just a brighter version of the other two, because that looks very stale when you paint that way. It can be easy to get used to. I use this for the dark one, I use this for my midtone, and this for the highlight. But you very rapidly, I think, as you get into painting, move beyond that, to where you might want to, on your silver, if you're painting, you may not want to have a bright silver highlight. You might actually want to have something that has a little bit more yellow, so it feels like it's reflecting sunlight, right? Because the world around us is not built in triads of color. It's built in how the color of light interacts with the color of the object. And so you have two things mixing all the time in the real world. The color of light, which for the sun is that, that warm, white, yellowish coloring, and then the color of the base object, right? Or the if some scientists were in here, the color that the base object reflects, right, does not absorb. And so all of a sudden now you're having that blended, the whole world is blended color. And so if you think that way, it leaves you more storytelling capability. So yeah, and that's why we build our paints the way we do. We don't use that CMYK brand of mixing your colors. We actually start and hand do all of our pigmentation, so that we can make sure that your greens are green, your yellows are yellow, all of your reds are red, so that as you mix them, you get the color you intended to mix. Works really, really well. You want to pick the right color and get painting? Depends on what you mean by right color. I get it. Trust me, I'm not degrading painting with triads. I just, as you paint more and you see your painting and do what we all do, which is compare it against somebody that has used similar coloring on their Space Marines or their army that you're comparing to. If you're just using triads as offered in bottles, you will always wonder why your models don't appear like these models over here, right? Because it's not, you need more nuanced blending of color in order to really get there. Yeah, and display comp painting doesn't have to be part of that. I'm not trying to make it seem like you got to be a Slayer Sword winner, right? It's just I show you the simple stuff. This is a tabletop model that didn't take us very long. But if I had painted this in triads, it would not look anywhere near as cool as it does, because that triad would not include the dark purple shadows, right? It would not include the pale pink highlights on top of the hot pink, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it wouldn't use, like on the whites, it would go from, a neutral gray up to white, instead of using the red gray as a base that feels a little warmer in and amongst all the pink. Doesn't seem so unnatural. So that's what we try to teach around here, is to stay on target with knowing that I want something in warmth, but it's okay to put purples with reds and then highlight with orange. And you'll get a really good red out of that, right? It'll have cool color in the shadows with the purple, and warmth in the highlights with the orange and the yellow highlights, like it was outside. So it just leaves it up to you to explore those colors. You can paint them just as fast.
Yeah.
It really is just getting in tune with, hey, understanding that color quickly, so you know what to reach for. You still reach for it. You don't have to mix. I don't mix as much as Jordan does by any means.
No, I do. Tons and tons of mixes.
Jordan loves to mix. I'm lazy. I only mix on display models, really. I mean, that's not true. I will mix on other models. Like here, when I'm doing the non-metallic gold, I go from mahogany to burnt orange to yellow ochre. And on the each of those layers, I take the mahogany and the burnt orange and mix to get a mid-tone. And then the burnt orange and the yellow ochre to get a mid-tone between those. And so I actually have 5 colors instead of 3 as I do my blends, but that's just because you'll get a much better blend by doing that. Even if you bought a triad of colors, a dark blue, a mid blue, and a bright blue, if you go in and take the dark blue and the mid blue, and when you paint the dark blue base, take the mid blue and mix it in 50-50 with the dark blue base and make that your next layer of color, and then do the mid blue on its own, and then mix the mid blue with the bright blue 50-50 to get your next color, and then the bright blue on its own, your models will look worlds better than just dark blue, mid blue, bright blue, right? So even mixing in amongst your triads is a good thing, Doing hue shifted triads is very fun. Dark jade, green, bright yellow green. Yeah. Yep. Dark blue into jade, right? Into bright yellow green works fantastic. It really is creating your own triads based on more color theory, right? And the way I talk about it is like, you take something like the Hulk that we just painted recently, because I always make fun of green skin in this, like for orcs and stuff. If you were to just paint dark green, mid green, bright green, it looks not alive. It looks like they're wearing a green suit, right? It loses its, I don't want to say realism, because Hulk is not realistic, but you get what I'm saying, and so here we did dark blue into dark dark magenta, right, into our greens. So I've got blue shadows, right? Then I've got these crazy points of magenta in between the muscles that make it look like he'd bleed if you cut him. And then I do my greens. So simple things like that still create the triad effect, which what you're really talking about is contrast. I want dark, mid, and bright, right? I want to have those values associated with the model so it looks like it's outside or indoors or, whatever. Yeah, but realism is more just believable. Something because you always want to be able to, in the world of visual art, you want to be able to have your viewer identify with what your goal was immediately. There are times where you might want to do something completely outlandish, but you still want to tie something back to believability and understanding so that the person is intrigued enough to go look at it in depth to find what you hid, right? And you're hiding it in plain sight sometimes. I always talk about the only way that you can get away with breaking the rules in art is by knowing the rules so that you understand how people perceive the world around them, right? If you can't draw humans in proper proportions, then your cartoons are not going to look and good and appeal to people very well. Not saying that there aren't people that have gotten away with it, right? But Keith Haring could draw an amazing human being. All of his street art was like stick figure and made him famous, right? And so, Picasso could do amazing portraiture, but the paintings he's known for are all obscure wacko stuff, right? With like clocks melting, weird noses, half faces, things like that, because he knew the rules and could break them. So, that believability is something that the viewer still needs. Otherwise, they write it off real quick. Hulk is the most realistic one there is, exactly.
Thank you, Panic Bomb.
Zambies, it's a pink bear.
What's up, Zambies?
I paint bear.
I paint the bear.
Where do you get the Care Bear magic? It's Massive Darkness.
Yeah, Panic Bomb. Got it right there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. There you go. Rainbow Crossing expansion.
It's a whole set. It's not just the bear by itself.
It comes with like unicorns and
Yeah,
cherubs.
it's got little unicorns and cherubs.
Yep.
I don't know anything about it.
Like
I was
4
brought
of
this
each.
model because I lost a bet.
He didn't lose a bet. We have a monthly Discord challenge, or a monthly painting challenge in our Discord. And this month, the challenge is to paint something pink.
So ta-da! Me do it.
Me do it.
Me do thing.
Yeah, it might not be easy to find.
Me do thing.
And I'm having such a good time painting this model.
Those models are amazing.
Jade heading off to get the pink paint off my hand. Hopefully that means that you've been working on your February challenge. And just embrace it. Walk around with paint on your hands. Jason does it all the time.
I do too.
I try to wash it off, but I'm like, out damn spot, and it won't come off. Takes till I'm in the shower rubbing it and screaming in pain.
What?
We use good
Jade?
acrylic, people.
I thought we were friends.
Whoa, what happened?
Jade said, I honestly do not like pink.
Whoa.
She
Whoa
said, This is
now.
all for Shelby.
Jade does so much of those cool, like, like prop clothes
Yeah.
type things in like desaturated, darker
Yeah, darker, more moody
palettes and stuff.
colors,
I really love
probably.
the stuff that she creates.
Your stuff is great, Jade.
But I could
It's
see
very
you
cool.
not being a big pink fan from what I've seen of your work. Nothing wrong with that. Pink is not a color that I use as a direct color like what we're seeing here very often. It's a color that I tend to think of more as an adder, something that you could put on as a detail. Pink light highlights. Space Marine eyes could be pink and get away with it and be really cool. Plasma glow could be pink and be really cool. It's a great way to push colors into the red without having to choose red. Obviously I use it to highlight reds a lot, like on my Blood Angels and stuff. So,
Mauricio,
but it's not a color I think of on its own very often.
Are you asking about the model, or are you asking what colors he used to get to the pink? The model, I'm going to answer both. The model is an expansion of a game called Massive Darkness. The color, okay. Yeah, and it's Rainbow Crossings. The colors would be what? Dark purple.
Dark purple as a base.
As a base.
Then I did dark magenta.
Dark magenta.
Over that.
And then magenta.
Then magenta.
Transparent red.
No, it was magenta. Then I used transparent yellow over the magenta to get it to warm into kind of a red. And then I did the wash of magenta and transparent red over the top of all of that. So it lets the shoulders where the yellow was, if you really look, all of this has more of a red tint to it than down here. It gets really cool down at the bottom, like starting at his cheek line. And up here it has more warmth because of that transparent yellow. You don't have to do that part.
Have you done it all on stream?
Yeah.
Everything done on stream.
Everything on stream.
VODs from last week. We started it last
3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Very fast. Very fast.
Are you both planning on continuing to paint?
I am pretty much done for the day, I think, because I got some stuff to take care of before game night tonight.
Game night?
Yeah, I'll probably go play cards.
On a Monday?
Yeah.
But The Bachelor's on tonight. What are you gonna do?
How are you going to watch The Bachelor?
You know what? I am not going to watch The Bachelor.
Well, that's unfortunate for you because you're not gonna be able to talk about it with us.
Well, that's probably okay.
Neither am I.
And I,
That's probably
trying to-
I
don't
was
tell
gonna
Jim,
say
but I'm
tomorrow,
trying to
but I
avoid
won't
it.
be here tomorrow, so I'll have to remember.
Neither of you are going to be
Wednesday.
here tomorrow.
Neither of us are here tomorrow, gang. Baby J and either Jabe or Schlebby.
Oh, you know it's going to be Schlebby. She's not going to let him get it.
Yeah.
I think we're beyond
Gabe
the
is
times
like-
of Gabe having
yeah,
any
Gabe-
influence
Gabe
on who
doesn't get
gets
to
to
fill in
produce the
anymore.
stream now. That Schlebby knows how to press the buttons. You'll be with Jordan and Schlebby tomorrow, folks.
We're going to have some fun. We're gonna paint some more. We might tackle some silver tomorrow. I think figuring out the game plan for the silver now that we've got a nice chunk of the gold blocked in will be really exciting. That, or I might sort of start building up the color on the stone, perhaps, so that I can start informing some reflected color. Which I've started to put in a bit down here. You can see that there's this nice kind of desaturated pale color, because I think I'm going to go with like a greenish gray stone. Use some of that like brown gray, and then build up a little bit of like to almost maybe a khaki color of some kind, which will really give this nice pale green at the bottom.
Gabe Billy said, I'm
Some nice
realizing I've
reflection.
never actually seen Gabe press any buttons when he produced. Does he know how? And I would say that he...
Gabe pushes my
is-
buttons all the
I
time.
was just going to say,
Gabe pushes my
he knows
buttons.
how to not push Jason's buttons.
Oh,
He's so nice that he's not a button pusher.
oh, I know how to push Jason's buttons with kindness. Good
But
morning.
The buttons are really just, they're right here. And like, I'm touching them right now, but you can't really see that.
She's pushing my buttons. Anybody remember that commercial with the old lady and her pet monkey, where he was slurping the spaghetti? Roger,
No.
you're pushing my buttons. Does anybody remember this? Anybody out there?
Okay, now when you just said it like that, it sounded
Sparked
familiar.
something in
Roger?
your memory.
You're pushing my buttons. Anybody remember this commercial? What was it for? It was a monkey slurping his spaghetti noodles. And the old lady was like, Roger, you're pushing my buttons.
Gabe said he's a class A button pusher. Again, game delay. The buttons are here out of your view. You just can't see. I would pick them up and show them to you, but I'm afraid to touch things that if it might potentially disturb anything.
All right. Are you gonna keep going for a little bit?
I'm gonna keep going for a little bit. I have to
Alright.
stay here with the gang doing overtime in production, so I'm gonna continue to work on this basing. I'll shut it all down. You guys are welcome to leave.
All right.
I'm on a roll here with doing this basing stuff to get Heine finished.
Got to get home to the dog.
I think I'm at a good stopping point on this right now. Give it a little bit of a rest over the evening. Come back refreshed tomorrow to take another extended.
You watch old commercials for comfort? That's awesome. Somebody Google it. What was
I'm
it for?
Googling it right now.
Oh, okay.
Little Caesars.
Oh, was it Little Caesars? Pizza, pizza. Raja, you're pushing my buttons. Oh, it must have been when they came out with pasta dishes. I feel like you could get baked pasta from Little Caesars at some point, right?
I will put a link to the commercial in chat for you, and you can watch
tell the rest of us later. All right.
Raja? This is the stupid crap that I have in my memory that prevents me from remembering important things.
Kill them with kindness has a different meaning for Baby J. Doesn't it, though?
Oh, it does. The knife he wields just says good morning on it.
Good morning.
It's like a horror flick.
Good morning.
He's like, good morning. With like a
Good
butcher
morning.
knife. Welcome to hell.
All right, everyone. Good night. I will see you all tomorrow, bright and early, at 2 p.m. Mountain
That's
Standard
bright and
Time.
early.
It's not really bright and early, but okay.
Speak for yourself. I find it to be quite refreshingly early. Bye-bye, everyone.
See you, man.
I'm leaving too.
Have fun with cards.
I will.
I'm gonna put some links in there for you guys right now, just in case. Jason will probably do it again later, but just for funsies.
Never can know.
Here's our store link. So if there's anything that you've seen used on today's stream, any product that has been applied to a miniature, or has been used to apply another product to a miniature, basically I'm saying paints, brushes, all that, you can get at monumenthobbies.com.
We make stuff.
We make the stuff
And the
that
things.
goes on the things. We also work with a number of friendly local game stores all over the world, and many of them carry our products. So I posted a link there that will take you to our store locator. You can type in your zip code or your city and see if there's a store close to you where you could potentially just walk in and support a local store. We have a Discord, and it's an awesome, fun place with great hobby tips and some interesting conversation and some cute pet pictures and some food pictures, all kinds of nerd chat.
Man, we have had an onslaught of cute pets lately.
You know, well, I mean, the pig is what did it for me.
Chris P. Bacon. Did you see
Crispy
that?
Bacon.
Name
Was
him
that his
Chris?
name, or that was the suggested name?
Chris P. Bacon. No,
Yeah.
that's the suggested name.
I think that
Because I
was
said name it Bacon, and
Yeah.
somebody was like, Chris
Yeah.
P.
Someone, when the day, I think it was the day in stream when I said I wanted a pig, someone said to name it Christopher Percival Bacon
Yeah, Percival.
so that it could be Crispy.
But I didn't get it in chat that day until I saw it. Because I said, no, we already have
We
Percival. I
already
can't
have a
take that name.
Percival.
And then I was like, oh, wait. I get it now.
Yeah. But the Discord is awesome. Yes, 3,000 great artists and Ghost Hunter, as he says, but he's one of them. So don't let him fool you. And then lastly is our YouTube. Bye.
See you, babe.
Have a good night, Gabe. Our YouTube will have original video content, new tutorials, all of our shorts and reels and things that you see maybe on Instagram or whatever, all are on YouTube. All of our crazy commercials that we do are on YouTube. And then all of the VODs from the stream. So if there was something, you know, in a stream 2 weeks ago that you want to go look at again, go over to YouTube. You'll find the VODs there. That's all.
And that's all, folks.
There are other links. As you can see, Lumberjack Tim does his exclamation point soon. You went to high school with a Christopher Paul Bacon?
Oh my God, that's great.
He's a composer.
I want that to be true.
I mean, it's game delay, so
Christopher Paul Bacon.
James DeLay doesn't lie. He's a lawyer.
Honey?
He
Honey?
said it is a real name, and
Honey?
I believe him.
Honey?
All right. I'm going to switch over here to this so that you get full screen, Jason.
Dun dun dun!
And I'm going to turn my camera off.
I might be done.
See you-
It might be that I check out too, now that I thought about it. Because I didn't realize, but I got like all the basing material on, and now it won't dry in time for me to do anything else.
Well, there you go.
So, we might leave old Heine Goldtooth to the drying gods for the evening. I was thinking I would be able to put some tufts on before the end of the show, but I got to put them where the wet paint is, and that's not going to work because I got to super glue them on. So I need to have it. I need to have it dry. Oh my god!
We've had a bit more rain than normal. It was a little more humid than normal.
So I will make it that Jen put the links up in the chat right at the right time.
Well, look at me.
And you did a fine outro, by the way.
Thanks.
That was amazing.
Well, you know,
she does it better than any of us.
It
actually.
wasn't meant to be an outro. It was just me putting up links randomly and explaining each one.
But that was very good.
Thanks.
But for all you guys and gals that are new here, please hit that follow button. Remember, we do stream Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Arizona. We'd love to see you back here if it's your first time finding us. If it's your not first time finding us, we're glad that you keep coming back. So thanks so much. Your wife says you have a problem, but I thought I heard you say YouTube has new tutorials on painting. That too. I'm sure it exists.
You probably won't find them on our channel.
I'm sure
unless
it exists.
you have special
we don't paint
access.
nude that you know of. But if you ever see videos from us where it's a disembodied voice, pretty good chance we're naked while painting. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid. So show some love in the chat. We wind up in, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. Love you faces.
Bye, everybody.
We're out of here.